Hi, kindergarten, first and second grade. It's Mrs. Ternitza here with your weekly library lesson. This week we're going to go to step 2 of the research process. Okay, let's get started. Okay, if you remember last week, we did think and ask about research. The think part is when we did the brainstorming. We thought of a topic that we wanted to research about, and we picked butterflies, monarch butterflies. And then the ask part of it was the planning, the making questions. And Miss T is going to show you in just a minute where I came up with some questions for us to research about monarch butterflies. And also for second grade, I came up with questions for Independence Day. Okay, learning intention is I can use a database to gather information. Success is I can use PebbleGo to listen about my topic and write facts to complete my graphic organizer. Okay, so Miss T is going to show you what I already did. Okay, so we picked monarch butterflies. That was our think part. That was our brainstorming, thinking of a topic that we wanted to learn more about. And the planning was making questions that we want to research, things that we would like to know and learn about monarch butterflies. And these are some questions that Miss T came up with that I think we'll be able to find some really good questions using PebbleGo. So for what, I said, what do they eat? Where do they live? When do larvae become adults? Because remember, they're caterpillars first, which are the larvae. Then they go into their little chrysalis, and then they turn into adults. How do they eat? And why do they have antennae? Because if you remember pictures of monarch butterflies, they have the little antennas on top. Okay, and for second grade, these are some questions that I came up with for Independence Day. Okay, so I have who wrote the Declaration of Independence? What is Independence Day? Where was the first Independence Day? When did it start? How do people celebrate it? And why is there an Independence Day? Okay, so this is for second grade. All right, so now what we're going to do is, if you remember last week, we watched the videos for the brainstorming and the planning, or the think and ask. The brainstorming, the young lady on the video, she came up with a topic and she was going to do bats. And then she did the planning. She came up with different questions that she could ask about bats. Now let's watch the video about researching, about actually taking those questions and finding the answers.
How to write a research paper for kids. Episode 3, Researching. I'm writing a research paper about bats. I've already made a plan for my writing, so now I'm ready to do some research. Research means finding information about a topic. Let me look back at my plan. Here are the categories or big ideas I decided to include in my research paper. I wrote down the information that I already knew and some questions that I'm wondering. When I find new information, I'll add some notes to my graphic organizer. Now I need to find some information. I can look in books, I can watch videos, or I can find information on the internet. I'm going to start on a website called PebbleGo. Here is their article about bats. This page is about a bat's body. It says, bats are the only mammals with wings. They have a wingspan between 6 inches and 6 feet. Bats are different shades of gray, brown, or black. This answers some of my questions. I have a section called What Bats Look Like. I just learned that bats can be between 6 inches and 6 feet. Wow, let me write that down. I already knew bats could be black or brown, but I just learned that they can be gray too. I'll add that to my organizer as well. Their next page is about bats' habitats. It says, bats can be found all over the world except in very cold northern areas. Bats sleep during the day. They rest in dark, quiet places like caves. I already knew that they lived in caves. I was wondering if they lived in Georgia, where I live, and it sounds like they do. They live all over the world except in very cold places. The next page is about food. It says, bats eat at night. They use echolocation to find prey. Most bats eat insects. Some bats also eat plants. A few eat small animals. So bats do eat bugs. But I learned that bats can also eat plants and even small animals. Wow. I'm still looking for some information to add to my page about what bats can do. Let's see. This page called Fun Facts says, some male bats attract females by screeching. There are more than 1,100 kinds of bats. Vampire bats drink the blood of cows, pigs, horses, and birds. Wow, I'll write down that some bats screech, and whoa, I didn't know that bats really drank blood. I will definitely add that to my writing. The other question I wanted to know was how fast bats can fly, but I haven't found that information yet. I'm going to do an internet search to see if I can find the answer. I'm going to go to Kiddle.com, a search engine that is safe for kids. I'm typing, how fast can bats fly? Let's see. I'm going to click on this link to National Geographic Kids. Here it is. It says bats can fly faster than a child walking. A bat can fly 10 miles per hour, and a child can only walk 2 miles per hour. I will add that to my organizer. Now I have all of the information I was looking for, so I think I'm finished researching. Check out episode 4 to see how I use all of this information to write my research paper. Thanks for watching.
Okay, awesome. So she showed you how she used PebbleGo to answer her questions. And we are going to do that today. We are going to use PebbleGo to answer the questions that we wrote down from monarch butterflies and Independence Day. Okay, so let's talk. Essential questions. Where can I find information, and how can we find information that is true? Well, we've already talked about where we can find information. Remember, they said you could find information in books. You could find information on the internet. You could even find information using iPads. And how can you find information that's true? Well, a lot of people go to Google. And I am going to show you Google really quick. I'm going to go up here. See, a lot of people use Google, and we could type in monarch butterflies just to see what we can get. And right here, monarch butterfly facts and photos from National Geographic. Now, National Geographic's been around a long time, so you could pretty much believe that everything that they write about the monarch butterfly and that the information is true, because I'm sure they have people that do fact checking to make sure that everything is correct. So National Geographic, see, it talks about lots of different things about it, its range, its life cycle, its defense. So a lot of times people will use Google. And the reason that I want to use PebbleGo though is because it's for kids. It's definitely fact checked. People go back and make sure that all the information is true and correct. So when your librarians or your teachers use it to teach you information, they know they're teaching you the correct and true information. And it's safe. So that's another good thing about it. Okay, so researching and gathering information. So this was our chart, and Miss T showed you the questions that she wrote for the butterflies, for kindergarten and first grade, and Independence Day for the second graders. And we are going to go to Pebble Go to answer our questions. Okay, so this is the researching and gathering information part of it. Okay, so researching means we're going to Pebble Go, we're finding the answers to our questions. The gathering information means we're taking those answers and we're writing them down on our paper. Okay, so Miss T is going to sign in to Pebble Go. Okay, now for monarch butterflies, we can go ahead and just to make it easy, see up here, we can go to the search bar. And Miss T is just going to type in, monarch butterflies, and it shows up for me. Awesome. So it tells me about the body, the habitat, the food, and the life cycle. And there are some fun facts about it. So let's look again at our questions. We have what do they eat? Where do they live? When do larvae become adults? How do they eat? And why do they have antennae or antennae? Okay, so let's listen to the first one and see if we can answer any of those questions. So here's the first section about body.
Monarch butterflies are insects. They have orange and black wings. Their wingspan is 4 inches, 10 centimeters. 2 antennae on their heads help them find food.
Okay, awesome. So let's take a look at our questions and see if any of those could be answered. So it didn't say what they eat or where they live. It doesn't talk about when the larva becomes adults or how they eat, but it did give us the answer to why do they have antennae. And it says 2 antennae on their heads help them find food. So here we can write, it helps them find food. And this is pretty cool for the second graders too, because this is giving them an extra chance to research something a little different. All right, good job. It helps them find food. All right, let's go to the next section where it says habitat. And remember, habitat is where they live. So we will definitely be able to answer one of our questions with the next one.
Monarch butterflies live in meadows and fields. They fly south during fall. They need warm weather to live.
Okay, awesome. So the habitat talks about where they live. So it's not going to answer what they eat, but it will answer where do they live. And it says they live in meadows and fields. So we can write, they live in meadows and fields. Okay, guys, good job. All right, let's go to the next one that says food, and that's definitely going to answer some of our questions. Probably what do they eat and how do they eat?
Monarch butterflies drink nectar from flowers. A long tongue, called a proboscis, sucks out the nectar. Monarch larvae, called caterpillars, eat milkweed plants.
Okay, good job. So let's look. It says, what do they eat? Well, that definitely answered our questions. So we know that the butterflies eat nectar or drink nectar. And we know that the caterpillars eat milkweed plants. Okay, good job. Now let's see if we can find the answer to how do they eat. Okay, well, if you look on here, it says a long tongue called a proboscis sucks out the nectar. So, for the question, how do they eat, we can say they use their proboscis or proboscis. Okay, good job. So far we've answered, what do they eat? Butterflies drink nectar. Caterpillars eat milkweed plants. Where do they live? They live in meadows and fields. How do they eat? They use their proboscis to suck out the nectar. Why do they have antennae? It helps them find their food. So our last question is, when do larvae become adults? So let's listen about the life cycle.
Monarch butterflies go through metamorphosis. Larvae hatch from eggs. In 2 weeks, larvae form chrysalises. Inside, they become pupae. In 2 weeks, pupae are adults.
Okay, so let's look back. So it tells us that it takes the caterpillars 2 weeks to become larvae. And once they do that, they form a chrysalis. So first there's the caterpillars, then in 2 weeks they form a chrysalis, and that's that little, you can see that little sheet protector on the outside. And then while they're inside, they're called pupa, and it takes 2 more weeks for them to turn into these beautiful butterflies. So, as caterpillars, it takes them 2 weeks to go to the chrysalis, or the larvae, which is the caterpillar. It takes 2 weeks for them to get into the chrysalis, and then 2 weeks to become the adults. So 2 plus 2 is how many? 4. Good job. So it takes them 4 weeks. From caterpillar, which is the larvae, all the way to being an adult. So we're going to put 4 weeks, which is about a month. To go all the way from caterpillar to butterfly. Okay, excellent, guys. Good job. We answered all of our questions. So we did last time we did our think and ask, we came up with butterflies. We asked our questions. And now we gathered our information. We selected our information from our PebbleGo. We gathered it and selected it, and we put it on our paper. So we now know more about monarch butterflies. And this is information that you can go tell somebody. You can say, hey, guess what? In library today, I learned about monarch butterflies. Excellent, guys. Good job. Now, for 2nd grade, we're going to do Independence Day. Okay, so let's look at our questions again. We have, who wrote the Declaration of Independence? What is Independence Day? Where was the first Independence Day? When did it start? How do people celebrate it? And why is there Independence Day? All right, so let's go back to PebbleGo. And this is for our 2nd graders. In kindergarten and 1st grade, you can stick around also so you can learn about Independence Day or the 4th of July. So Miss T is going to go back up here, and I'm going to type in the search bar. I started typing in Independence Day, and I see it down here, so I'm going to go ahead and click it. All right, now Miss T is going to listen to each section. You all are going to listen with me, and then we're going to see what questions can we answer from the information in the sections. And this section is called What Is It? So what is Independence Day?
Independence Day is a U.S. national holiday. It is always on the 4th of July. On that date in 1776, the American colonists declared their independence from Great Britain.
Okay, so we can go to the question, what is Independence Day? And we can say it is a national holiday. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Who wrote it? Well, it doesn't tell us that yet. Where was the first Independence Day? Doesn't tell us that yet. When did it start? It didn't tell us that yet. How do people celebrate? It didn't tell us that. Why is there Independence Day? Well, there's Independence Day because remember, the colonists declared their independence from Great Britain. So we can write in here. Let's put this on here so I don't lose my paper. So we can put colonists declared independence. Oops. Let's take go up here. From Great Britain. Remember the colonists, they came over from England. And they didn't like what the king had to say, so they wanted their own independence. Okay, so what is Independence Day? It is a national holiday. Why is there Independence Day? Colonists declared independence from Great Britain.
The story of Independence Day. In the 1600s, people from England sailed to America. These colonists were ruled by the King of England. He made the colonists pay taxes that they felt were unfair. The colonists wanted to be free.
Okay, let's go to the next section.
Fighting for freedom. England and the colonies began the Revolutionary War in 1775. On July 4th, 1776, the colonists wrote the Declaration of Independence. The colonies won the war and became the United States in 1783.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
A national holiday. The first Independence Day celebration was held in Philadelphia in 1777. Ships in the harbor fired their cannons. People lit candles and built bonfires. They flew flags and set off firecrackers.
Okay, so let's see. What question can we answer? The first Independence Day. And here our question is, where was the first Independence Day? It was in Philadelphia, which is a city in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is a state. All right. Let's go back here.
Fighting for freedom. England and the colonies began the Revolutionary War in 1775. On July 4th, 1776, the colonists wrote the Declaration of Independence. The colonies won the war and became the United States in 1783.
Okay, so we could answer, who wrote the Declaration of Independence? The colonists did. Now, there were some famous colonists who wrote it, but in all, it was the colonists, the people that came over from England, who wanted their independence from England, from the king. When did it start? Well, it says July 4th. So remember, we all know Independence Day is July 4th, 1776. That's when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. So, who wrote the Declaration of Independence? The colonists. What is Independence Day? It's a national holiday. Where was the first Independence Day? Philadelphia, which is in Pennsylvania. When did it start? July 4th, 1776. Why is there Independence Day? Because the colonists declared their independence from Great Britain when they came over from England. Okay, now let's see. It did tell us how they celebrated a long time ago, but let's see how we celebrate nowadays.
Independence Day today. Americans celebrate freedom every Independence Day. People watch fireworks. They attend parades. People picnic with their family and friends. People listen to speeches. They fly the U.S. flag.
Okay, so we can answer, how do people celebrate it? Well, it says they have parades. They have picnics. They can listen to speeches. And they can fly the U.S. flag. Excellent. Good job. So, who wrote the Declaration of Independence? The colonists. What is Independence Day? It is a national holiday. Where was the first Independence Day? In Philadelphia, which is a city in the state of Pennsylvania. When did it start? July 4th, 1776. That's when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. How do people celebrate? Parades, picnics, listening to speeches. They fly the U.S. flag. Why is there Independence Day? Because the colonists declared their independence from Great Britain. Remember? And they wrote the Declaration of Independence because they wanted to be free. They wanted to be America. They didn't want to be part of England anymore. All right, guys. Excellent. Good job. Okay. So we answered our questions. What we're going to do next time is we are going to create a little project where we are going to write a few of the facts that we found out today. So you'll need a piece of paper next time and some crayons and maybe some markers and a pencil. And Miss T, we're going to go over the information, and Miss T will write a few of the sentences, a few of the things that we learned about butterflies, and a few of the things that we learned about the 4th of July or Independence Day. And we will write a couple of those sentences, and then you will write them. I'll write them on my board, and then you all will write them on your paper. And then you guys can draw a picture to go with the sentences. And what I would like for you to do once we do that next week is that you can email me your sentences and your pictures, because I would love to see them. I would love to see what you made for your research project. All right, guys, good job. And like I said, next week we will do the synthesizing and creating, which means we'll look at our information, we'll write down the most important answers to our questions, and we will draw pictures for our topics. All right, guys, great job. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll be back with you next week for our next lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.